Shalom, Shalum, and welcome. Welcome to Endtime Reflections. My name is Symmanayah if you're tuning in for the first time, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening set-apart nation. Though the sounds and words you hear, some may seem repetitive, oftentimes there's a nugget that may be of value to you, O listener, to these words. Again, I say welcome. This is the 60th installment of Endtime Reflections. I present the case of why it is necessary to be able to identify first sight and sounds. The time is now to come beyond milk and begin discerning all the wisdom necessary for growing into the meat of maturity. Something that is necessary as things become challenging, to say the least. I'm compelled to believe many individuals desire to be strong and wise, but they fail to exercise the discipline that requires yielding to the details and processes necessary for reaching such positions. I state often that many of my posts are connected to one or more of the major feast times. But before I continue with the subject of first sight and sounds, let me say this. The views and expressions of this podcast do not necessarily reflect the owners, management, and or shareholders of this media platform. With these words said, I want to encourage each of you to remember, I also speak often on how when the scriptures are made alive, we get to experience the life in the words that the Almighty Father has intended for us to receive. Come, listen, hear, and seek to discern with a prayerful mind the life in this message regarding first sight and sounds. Allow me to read John 4:13 and 4. John 4:13 and 4. It reads, Yahusha answered and said to her, everyone drinking of this water shall thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water I give him shall certainly never thirst, and the water that I give him shall become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life. He who has an ear will receive that this means you can read a passage of scripture over and over and over and over and over again. And if it's brought to life, there is something anew. There is something fresh that you can get. There is something that will contribute to strengthening your being. To those who understand what Yahusha was saying in John 4:13 and 14. So many people chase after the text without any regards to the living presence of our teacher, Yahusha. Yashar'al, O set-apart family. It would be wise to begin to grow in discerning when the presence of Abba Yahuwah's Spirit, sent in Yahusha's name, is providing living instructions and guidance to us individually and collectively. It would be wise to recognize how he works in us, through us, one towards another. I strongly encourage each listener of these words to begin praying and discussing how to grow in discerning what the presence of Abba Yahuwah represents. I speak often about vetting and examining the one in the mirror as well as those of whom we fellowship. In the most recent months, I have also spoken about seeking to identify the realities of end times like never before exercise. Truly, our mental and emotional states are being challenged, or will be, in the coming days ahead. If you have not read about the Feast of First Fruits, I invite you to turn to Leviticus 23rd chapter and examine it. I invite you to read it prayerfully. I want to bring your attention to the Feast of First Fruits. And let me ask you this question. Do you believe that Yashar'al can honor the first fruits mentioned in Leviticus 23rd, that they could obey the Almighty Father regarding the first fruit if they were unable to identify them? Do you really believe Abba Yahuwah would ask them to do something they did not have the ability to accomplish? Remember, Noah received complete details and was equipped with much to accomplish the task of building the ark and gathering those selected by the Almighty Father Yahuwah. Before I go any further, let me read Leviticus 23:14. It says, and you do not eat bread or roast grain or fresh grain until the same day that you have brought an offering to your Almighty One, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. My brothers and sisters, there are many differences among us regarding how to honor and guard let alone instruct others regarding the 7 major feast days. While there is no mistake, there are differences among us. While people are debating, arguing, and gathering with those that agree with them regarding the feast times, mostly I failed to witness anyone saying, let us look at the purpose of these feast times. Let us identify something that can be passed on to generation, whether in captivity or not. I do believe there are purposes that can be passed on from generation to generation forever, identified within each feast time. Come with me as I connect these words to the subject of first sight and sounds. Before I continue, let me read also Romans chapter 10, verse 13 through 17. It reads, for everyone who calls on the name Yahuah shall be saved. How then should they call on him in whom they have not believed? How should they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how should they hear without one proclaiming? And how should they proclaim if they are not sent? As it has been written, how pleasant are the feet of those who bring the good news of peace, who bring the good news of the good. However, not all obey the good news. For Yeshayahu says, Yahuah, who has believed our report? So then, belief comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Almighty One. You see, my brothers and sisters, as end times get intense, as our desires to grow in identifying what the Almighty Father expects of us, what the Almighty Father Yahuah will have us to do, we must and will come to realize there are details and processes necessary. Just expecting someone to call on the name of Yahuah and they shall be saved is not enough. We must ask ourselves and respond correctly regarding the rest of the passage. Let it be known there are those seeking to identify what is ordered by the Almighty Father Yahuah. But we must begin to see the wisdom in establishing a ready mind, body, and soul. For the times will enlarge where we will begin to witness those who respond with a ready mind, body, and soul, those who demonstrate obedience to the Spirit of the Almighty Father. Now in their obedience and readiness, do you think the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name as our teacher, as it is written in the Scriptures? Do you think he will not reveal and make known the things necessary to accomplish the tasks that are directed of us or directed to us? Individuals who get it quicker than others, do you think they can remain silent? Let me bring your attention to the following. Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 1 through 9. Ezekiel chapter 33, verse 1 through 9. It reads, and the word of Yahuah came to me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of your people, and you shall say to them, when I bring the sword upon a land, and the people of the land shall take a man from their borders, and shall make him their watchman. And he sees the sword coming upon the land, and shall blow with the shofar, and shall warn the people. Have we identified the watchmen among us, O Yashar'al? Have we put them in place? Have we established ears to hear the sounds of the watchman, the warnings or instructions from the watchman? Consider these words as I continue in the 4th verse, going to the 9th. Then whoever shall hear the voice of the shofar, and shall not take warning, if the sword comes and takes him away, his blood is on his own head. He heard the voice of the shofar, but he did not take warning. His blood is on himself. But he who takes warning shall deliver his being. But if the watchman sees the sword coming and shall not blow with the shofar, and the people shall not be warned, and the sword comes and takes any being from among them, he is taken away in his crookedness, and his blood I require at the watchman's hand. And you, son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Yashar'al, and you shall hear a word from my mouth, and you shall warn them for me. When I say to the wrong, O wrong one, you shall certainly die, and you have not spoken to warn the wrong from his way, that wrong one shall die in his crookedness, and his blood I require at your hand. But when you have warned the wrong to turn away from his way, and he has not turned from his way, he shall die in his crookedness, but you have delivered your being. My brothers and sisters, Yashar'al, it would be wise to accept that during these final days, many warnings will come. It will also be wise that we recognize what expectations come with these warnings, what must and will come to be. There will be those who will be obedient and act. Believe it or not, these are those who will fall into the category and make the first sight and sounds regarding our deliverance, our instructions, our guidance for these end times. First sight and sounds. Yes, we will see actions demonstrating what must be done. We will hear the sounds of the obedient regarding what must be done. The time is now to grow. Grow into the abilities necessary to correctly identify those who demonstrate a ready mind, body, and soul. Before the children of Yahuah, before the children of the Almighty Father, let us recognize those with first sight and bring first sounds. Be encouraged, my brothers and sisters. Out of the discipline from Abba Yahuah, we will witness evidence and proof. There is much work to be done. There are things that must and will come to be to fulfill end-time prophecies. End times are here, and they bring the most challenging of times. We are not, absolutely not, returning to life as it was before COVID-19. While the wicked dance and present different points of view, while they present propaganda and rhetoric trying to kick the can down the road to explain the conditions of the world, we who are the children of Yahuah should begin to recognize the unfolding of his plan and identify what he is asking of us, what he is ordering of us. Let us pray. Let us seek earnestly to identify the instructions from the Almighty Father, whether they come from his Spirit directly to us or as he speak and work through another. Yashar'al will rise. The 144,000 in great multitude will rise. The great multitude and 144,000 will be equipped with all that is necessary to fulfill what is promised. What say you, O listener to this message? What say you, my brother, my sister? Are you among those who present first sight and sounds necessary for the gathering of a set-apart nation? Are you establishing a ready mind, body, and soul? Are you seeking to ask the questions that leads to the answers of receiving guidance from he who sits on the throne, Yahusha Mashiach? Pray, O Yashar'al. Study, pray some more, seek to discern and respond with all correction and set-apartness. Until next time, my brother, my sister, my family, I continue to strongly encourage each of us to grow in identifying the living presence and voice of the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name. Know what is expected. Be prepared to respond. The days of acting will prove to come more widely than what we're witnessing today. On that note, I bid you much shalom, my brothers and sisters. Shalom.